local area, which Jay Dunn's based out in Nashville as well, but a local area that does what we're doing. We want to put all the parts and pieces of this together as professional as we can and use the most expert teams to facilitate that. The vision. This has self-sustainability for Tennesseans. Some of you might not understand that self-sustainability. As a group, you think because Kroger's and Piggly Wiggly and Walmart produces the product you are there to procure, that's the end all save all. Well, somebody's got to get that product to them, and Tennessee is not doing a very good job of producing their own proteins as far as beef or pork. We do a great job with chicken. That's down to a science. Beef and pork proteins are both sourced outside of the state. Support local cattle farmers. Me being a farmer, me having a plethora of friends that are full-time farmers, I know what this means to those guys. We're not the save-all. We're only merely a foundation for our farmers to build off of. We offer better incentives on a finished product. Right now, as it stands, these cattle are being shipped anywhere between 8 and 16 hours outside of our state, and the last guy to touch them makes our farmers true money. At the end of the day, that's the biggest deal to me, is supporting the backbone of this country, which is the farmer, and that's why we're here. Revive agricultural education. That is a major thing in the beliefs of True Local. We believe not only in secondary education, but furthermore, if you're a high school student, and I've got one who chose not to go to a secondary school, he wanted to go to work, he wanted to learn on the farm. He said, this is my education. I would like to adapt a TCAP program to train people, not only in our industry. When we come to town, there's so many other job opportunities. I have a man sitting in here that operates as many cattle, one of the biggest in the state. They need veterinarians. They need guys on their team that know how to vaccinate, take care of cattle. They need to know grazing management. They need to know feed management. This goes the spectrum of this is a whole lot more than just us processing beef. And the educational side of this is so prudent. Our agricultural programs, our FFA, our 4-H, are more leaned and geared towards showing of animals. That's great. I don't mind showing animals, but are you teaching people how to grade beef? Are you teaching people how to feed those animals? USDA opportunities. We have USDA, it's going to be a USDA inspected facility. We'll have a representative there full-time. We don't have any children educated in this state to do that. So education is as high and prudent to us as an organization as anything else. Providing job and economic benefit to Stewart County and region. Where we're looking to land, this is a split deal. It's a shared industrial park, and I know all of our publications state Stewart County. This is a Stewart County deal, but it also as well incorporates Houston County. Both counties have all in the world to benefit from what we bring to the table. We have an illustration that some of you guys should have. This is what we took to Washington. This is what we presented to not only Congressman Mark Green, but our state senators and our federal senators. So they know what we're bringing to the table. This impact and this labor impact is a one-pager project brief will show you what we plan to bring in the course of 5 years. Now, some of those numbers, things don't happen as seamless and mainstream as they should. They may adjust, but that is our primary goal for a 5-year period. We started 200 jobs, we ramp up to 500 plus. And this also incorporates the pay scales, the labor impact, benefits, and illustrates the amount of personnel that we would like to bring and offer to both communities. All right, flip to the need. The need. This industry is dominated by 4 large individuals. Again, we are not a direct competitor of the 4 large individuals. We are simply bridging a gap. We are I mean, there's just no competition to that. There is a gap, there is a need. We want to bridge that gap for the state and our state. The lack of large-scale regional process facilities. This statement is that there's 1, 2, 3 plants within 8 to 10 hours here. In the southeast, they process 1,000, 1,500 head a day. One is FBO Foods, which is in Georgia. That is, I think, the closest. The remainder of those are all across the Mississippi and the Midwest. We do not have any regional facilities within arm's length of the state of Tennessee. Supply chain disruption, empty shelves, and high prices. This is a real thing, especially here. And we have this conversation on a daily basis. I don't pick on our local grocery stores because it's not their fault. They can't get their hands on a product that they deserve and they need. That being said, is COVID come through and it reared its ugly head and showed us that we are vulnerable. And vulnerability is, my wife goes to the store, calls me and says, Josh, I can't find roast. I did find one, but it's $18 a pound. Josh, there's limited hamburger. This was all during COVID. This went along for almost a year, and anybody in this room that shops for themselves should have been able to recognize that. So it showed its ugly head that we are vulnerable, and when there is potential, some hazard, or something happens, that we will not have what we're looking for in the store. The opportunity. Build a state-of-the-art process facility in Stewart County. And again, I'm going to correct the Stewart County. We're going to say the Stewart County, Houston County Shared Industrial Park. State-of-the-art, we've gone above and beyond. We're on the front end of this. There are so many hurdles that are driven by the population of your demographics are so different. And one group don't like this, one group don't like that. We have tried to address everything we can address. We pulled a placement to combat smell. We're on the front end. If we fix any and everything we can identify as a problem now, we're going to do that so we don't have it going down the road. We plan to process anywhere between 5 and 1,000 head of cattle per day. As a true statement, I've got people that says we're not going to be able to get that amount of head. We can get to 500 tomorrow. Get to 1,000 is a different story. This again falls into a re-educational process. It is re-educating our farmers who believe they have to sell their 5-weight cattle to carry cattle out. Get your whole money off that one cow. So this will be a retooling process as to how we've learned to farm. Purchase from local cattle farmers. This is absolutely the goal. We want to buy, again, we're a regional plant. We're going to buy cattle from border to border, 400 miles in a radius, and we may even have to exceed that. So we're touching Kentucky, North Alabama, the Carolinas, Arkansas. These cattle are going to come from everywhere, but the primary goal is to stimulate the local farmer. We have to procure enough to make sure that that plant runs. So we're going to have opportunities for the local farmer, the local cattlemen, to grow their business. Sell for local consumption. That is another thing we're adamant about. We would like to combat the food desert issue. We are in a food desert here. This county is considered a food desert. I believe it's 30 miles outside of Nashville radius is considered food desert. We want to sell for local consumption. That is the driving force to this. That is driving force to the name True Local Beef. And truly local products put back on local tables. Benefits. Local option to sell cattle. Within that, we just covered a lot of that. We want to buy from all the local cattle farmers. We want to promote helping these guys. We want to incentivize if we can and make sure that our farmers are getting what they need so we get what we need and we all succeed together. Significant increase in per head purchase price. That statement is, you're selling 5-weight cattle that touch 3 times, some man gets your money, period. You don't get your money. The front end of that cow, from what it takes, you got an 18-month period generally that you're going to produce this one cow, and we're going to pay you, I'm not going to name a number because it goes up and down quicker than gas prices. I'm not gonna name a number, but it's gonna be significantly higher than what you're going to per se the sale barn sell at cow. The reason is we're buying a finished product. We're not buying a product that's going to be, there's a process to growing cattle out before they're processed. And within that process, our farmers are missing out because they're selling early. So anybody that's in the farm business and cattle business knows a finished cow brings 3 times what a 5-weight cow does. Incentive to continue farm ownership and to raise cattle. Again, I've said it through this, it comes out of my pores. This is the main goal, is to make sure that in our future and our children's future, I see a lot of older generations sitting here, you have children, or you have family who has children. I do not know if we continue down the path we're going today, how many cattle will be left in the state of Tennessee. And we want to incentivize that. We want farmers to want to continue to raise beef. Benefits, locally sourced options for beef. Guys, it's going to be done right here. We will have that option that if we have willing participating partners, that your farmers' beef will be sitting in your local stores. High quality products. High quality products is a game changer, especially in the food desert areas to where the quality of beef is just not above standard. Insurance against future supply chain disruption. We covered that a little earlier. Decrease reliance on other states. That is proven. If you sit back and think about it, we are reliant on some other state to finish a product that we have grown right here in our very own state. We don't have enough facilities in the state right now to feed the population if something was to ever happen. So we're reliant on someone else. Why Stewart County? Personal connections community. I do have a very personal connections community. I've been in it since birth. I grew up here. This is paradise to me. Paradise to my wife. I met my wife here, married my wife from here. I know about as much about this community as anybody else does here. Love it, enjoy it, and I believe this community needs what we're bringing to the table, and we need this community as well. Readily available agricultural land. Stewart County as a whole is one of the biggest counties in the state, and that's primarily agricultural land. There's not a lot of big industry here. There's a lot of opportunity to capitalize on this business. This is an agricultural based community. Houston County has more cows in it than 4 counties surrounding it. We want Stewart County to get to that point. And the potential employee base, that's the one thing that grabs me about Stewart County. Houston County as well. We've got a lot of guys that I think this job fits, and they're willing to come do this kind of work. That means a lot. The potential employees and the willingness to want to come to work. 5 minutes. All right, we got 5 minutes left on presentation, so I'm going to get into the benefits to Stewart County. You guys, you can see, we're going to bring in 1 sales manager at $150,000 a year, 6 plant managers at $130,000 a year, HR managers, there'll be 6 at $80,000 a year, other management, which is out in the field, $80,000 a year, supervisors, 30 at $80,000 a year, our foreman, 15, $26 an hour. You know those guys are going to work some hours. Outside help, $20 an hour at 18 personnel. Butchers, 60 at $25 an hour. Packaging and cutting, starting wage $20 an hour, 336 employees. Drivers at 45, $25 an hour, and administrative, 30 personnel in the office at $20 an hour. Each of these jobs carry benefits and 401k, so they will have retirement. And if you need more time, we will put this illustration back up later so you guys can get your hands on it or take pictures. Benefits of Stewart County continue: revenue, sales tax, and real estate tax, and more. You guys can go through this yourself. I'm not going to read it off. You have a publication. You have an opportunity here on the screen to review that. If need be, take a picture. If you want a copy, please see Miss Julianne at the conclusion of the meeting, and she will get your email address and make sure you have a copy. Financial overview. This is a capital investment of more than $100 million into Cumberland City and the Shared Industrial Park. Funding. The funding is both from state and federal grants, state incentives, financing, and it's private investment. Today, guys, we would like to thank everybody. We'd like to thank Congressman Green for taking the time to come in, hear this. This is what we needed to do. It's a little early in the game, but this is what we needed to do. Now you guys have enough to educate yourselves adequately, and you can make your own judgments as to if we fit your community. And that's the whole thing. We want to fit. We want to be a betterment. We want people to be excited. This is a growth for this community that has struggled to grow for years and years, that I think is a positive growth in a way that people get what they want as far as jobs goes, but we're not turning the downtowns into Clarksville or Dixie. And I think this is an ideal fit for both communities. And I have to address, we got Stewart County all over this, but I do have to address Houston County as it directly affects you guys as well. So I'm going to open up to Congressman Green and see if he has any questions. And then after Congressman Green, we'll go through both the counties and industrial park.
Well, thank you for a very well thought out business plan. I in my lifetime have seen many of them. And this is very well done and well articulated. Obviously the benefits are pretty profound for the community. The question will be, the ability to support it, and of course any negative impacts on the community. I'm sure the community is voicing some of that stuff to you. And I think from the beginning of your comments, you said you were going to address all of those. Ultimately, the elected folks in the room, we work for the people. They're our boss. And so what they want is we wind up supporting, right? So I want you to understand that. People in this room are my boss. So my job is to facilitate what they want. But how would we do something like that? Well, if there was an issue with water, perhaps there's a federal grant that could help a small community get an answer to that issue. If it's an issue of transport, getting, I don't know how many trucks a week will you need, truckloads?
A week.
In and out.
A week in and out. We would be at 20 and be 100 and working a 6-day work week. It would be 120 trips in and out a week.
120 tractor trailers?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Refrigerated tractor trailers. Now, so thinking about that beyond just roads is fuel, fuel points and things like that, which is also an opportunity for the community. Are there other businesses that will rise up to support you, like, for example, fueling those trucks and maintaining those trucks? And are there opportunities for others in the community to partner and start businesses that would support what you're doing?
The ancillary side to what we do is huge. We have a man sitting here that I can guarantee you, if we get started, it's going to grow tenfold, and that'd be Mr. Parsons, that name. Mr. Fitzhugh, he raises cattle. He's got an opportunity to grow. So the ancillary side of this, there's so many options and so many things that come to town. Some we might not want, and we will do our best to combat those. But the ancillary wise, this is major for this community.
Okay. Those are just some of my questions, and infrastructure and then the support structure from a business standpoint, the opportunities for local folks to get a piece of that pie, and then quantifying the financial downstream effects of those ancillary supports. Like when an OEM comes in for an auto manufacturer, there's 14 or 15 other companies that have to move in to support. It's probably not that much for you, but there is going to be some, I would think. So, and then, of course, the people of the community have to decide if they want all of that present. So, it's a pretty substantial tax increase for the local community. Boo, where'd you go? There you are. What's the percentage of your tax base this would become? Do you know it off the top of your head? The total dollars in local taxes you're going to pay?
1.2. Yes, we're looking at 2.4 now. I mean, you're talking.
So it would be 50%
increase
in your county revenue?
At the 500 mark. So if you
That's
could
at
bill at the
500.
500 mark, it would be
Okay.
5 years.
So at the 5-year mark, it'd be a 50% increase in your tax base. And that's not counting, that's just directly from the company. That's not counting the increased property tax for people building new homes because they got income. Okay. Okay. Well, again, I think it just comes down to a question of infrastructure, ancillary support, and then what the people want. And I will be listening very, very closely to what the local leaders want. You know, if it comes down to a federal grant or something like that, I mean, we'll work very hard to make those happen. I specifically hired in my office just recently someone just to help local municipalities write grants. So we have somebody dedicated to grant writing and helping our local communities find grants. Because as I've served in this job, I've realized that, you know, that's a big deliverable I can give to, you know, to the mayors and to the aldermen and commissioners. So we have an individual. If it comes down to that, you guys can reach out to me and we can help. But again, it's those three things. What the people want is number one and two.
Right.
Okay, that's all my questions.
Hey, Congressman, this is Ben Picciano. I'm joined here by my colleague, Tom Keller. We're actually True Local Beast, professional grant writing firm based out of Washington.
Okay.
Hopefully you all can hear me all right virtually. We really appreciate your time and everyone's time in the room. So we have, I think it's on that project right in front of you, but we've been working with True Local Beef on this upcoming grant opportunity. So obviously, providing all the site approvals to move forward, we would be targeting this federal grant, and your office's support would be very critical to that effort, as well as all the local folks in the room. So just wanted to flag that for you and appreciate you offering to assist with that.
Well, it's good to know you're there. We'll make sure we get contact information. What my team needs to do is just kind of set up a meeting with all the mayors that are impacted and kind of get a temperature on where everybody is. I think probably yes, knowing the guys what they want. But let's start with that. Okay, just to sit down with all the mayors together.
We've pulled together, Mike, you circulate that out to the meeting table. We've understanding we had some questions, and Mike's gonna do, this entire team's gonna do everything we can to answer questions. The one's gonna do the smell. Everything we do is inside our air scrub, and I asked for parts per million of odor that would leave that plant. And our engineers actually working on getting that. But we want to provide the information to everybody sitting here, and I know there's a lot more to go. We have industrial board, we have Cumberland City. It's really weird how this works, because we have Houston County, Stewart County, Cumberland City, and industrial board. We have 4 groups that we have to appease, which is great in one sense, because we can address so many people at one time, and we want to be able to answer those questions. So we've got things in publications. It's just, we're going to be relying on those to educate themselves beyond what we can tell them.
Well, there'll be a great partners. You'll have 4 partners too once you're up and running, right? So that's a plus side to have all those people there supporting you if that's the direction they go. So I get it.
Mayor, you got anything to add?
I do have one question, Josh.
Yes.
I know you looked at the site at Cumberland City at the industrial park. Is that site gonna be big enough for you? I mean, you're gonna make it work with what you're,
Yes. But our minimum requirement is 30 acres for how we want to produce. And again, we didn't build this to have holding barns on site. They've set a whole different set of parameters for the business itself. So we didn't build this to do holding barns on site. We anticipate everything coming from outside of that. So that site has enough acreage. And I believe after looking, I believe Casper Eye owns enough around that we have an opportunity to look at as well. According to the conversation we have on our initial visit, that there could be potential to add to that. So we'd be very interested in that as well.
and I mean, I'm the city mayor from Houston County. And the city of Erin owns the water system. They furnish water for Cumberland City and Houston County. But the water's an issue right now, and there's no sense in beating around the bush. They can't furnish, if you had the site there today, they could not furnish water for you.
And I believe what Congressman Green said was the intent when we were asked to come to view this site. And I believe that somebody had an objective that we can accomplish two goals at one time. One, get you guys some business in there, and two, relieve the water problem.
The
So-
water and sewer would be the things we would need to look and see how they impact the city of Erin, because we do the sewer treatment for the industrial park as well as provide the water.
The benefits to this is in site selection, going through economic development. Those guys do not depict nor tell us where we go. They simply advise us as to what community would be best fit. We went through their site selection process, and they understood. They have all of our calc volumes of water, natural, sewer output, as well as our electrical. You guys check the boxes on everything but water and sewer. So they knew this going in, and this was our desired location. I believe there is something in the weight there to be had that combats the problem that we know you guys have up front. So, and I'm willing to ride that out with you and help as much as I can possibly help.
That would actually be something that we would probably need Mark involved in on the federal side. I mean, we're gonna have to have some help with that.
Well, you're kind of, I mean, tell me if my perception is wrong, Joey. You guys are already kind of at the max on your water capabilities now, right?
We are.
The Ridge is kind of having some issues I've heard a few calls about, so,
We have, I mean, I'll let Paul speak on his water, he can do better.
We are reaching the point where we're at maximum capacity as far as bringing in, I mean, yes, I mean, you know, somebody wants water tap, that's not a big deal, you know,
Yeah.
for residential, I mean, you know, we're putting in several of them. But when it comes to something like this, I mean, how many gallons a day are we talking? I've not heard those
330,000.
numbers. How much?
330,000 in and out.
You know, when you talk about a plant that can produce 1.5 million, you're talking a big percentage of that plant.
yeah, there's no doubt about that. So what we'll do is we'll get with these guys in DC, we'll get our grant writers together, we'll go to find, you know, the cool thing about, you know, this opportunity is, or one plus of this opportunity is that economic development tends to get the grants, and so it may solve your back end problem at the same time as it provides this opportunity. Because the powers that be on grant decision making tend to favor economic development over just fixing to meet a local demand, if that makes sense. So this might, you got a double reason to get the grant approved, if that makes sense. But what we probably need to do for you, Paul, is look at a grant anyway, whether this thing comes in or not. Because,
We need help in Houston County with water.
I think we got the hospital fixed, now let's work on the water.
We hope so.
Well, and then of course we have to look at the impact on the sewer also.
I know, I get that look completely, yeah.
Are you going to Lagoon? Are
We're
you
going to
the
Lagoon.
system too?
We're going to
or-
Lagoon and pre-treat, so we can pre-treat up to the standards we need to. So everything's Lagoon.
That will help him on his sewer problem, is that
Yes.
correct? I mean,
Yes.
by having the lagoon system, but they treat these lagoon stuff now, but
Might turn that mic off there, next to you, Paul.
a lot of people, I've been around slaughterhouses for 30 years. And I go to every one there is. There ain't a slaughterhouse in this state that I haven't been to. But now, everybody complains about the smell, and there are some that stink. Yes, they do. Your mom and pop slaughterhouses, they're not up to date. But I can carry you to Hampton Meats in Hopkinsville. They just did an expansion there. You'll never know there's an animal there if you don't see him.
That's right.
There's no smell there.
That's right.
But it's state of the art. I mean, but you go to some of these mom and pop that kill 10 or 15, yeah, they're gonna have a little smell to them. But you go, I've been to some big ones, and you go to the state of the art, like I say, you'll never know they're there unless you see them. There's just no smell there. I mean, I do argue that point because I've been inside of them, all of them.
That's our goal, and that's how we're building this facility, is exactly what Joey said. And Joey is telling you guys the truth. We've traveled with the ones that let us in. They don't let too many competitors in too many of their plants. It's one of the most secretive businesses you'll ever dive into. But Joey is right, and he's not just putting it out there for us. And our sewer, the covered lagoons, because we don't want that problem for you guys. We do not want to be an eyesore nor a detriment to the community, period.
Most of your bigger processors, and I'm saying, if he built a 500 cow facility, he'd be the biggest. The biggest one in Tennessee is in Bean Station, Tennessee. He killed 140 a day. He's a great friend of mine. I talked to him yesterday. But they kill 140 animals every day, Monday through Friday. If they can get the animals, they got them. They do it. But 500 animals is, I mean, the big processors. The one Brown is in the Carolinas. They kill about 750 a day. But their place is pretty neat. I mean, it's pretty nice. But I think sometimes people get misconception of killing animals. It's an indoor operation. It's if you go to Hampton Meats, they don't shoot no animal outside. He goes inside. There's an inspector sitting there watching them when they kill it. I mean, there's rules to killing these animals. There are rules.
There are steps that's being taken right now. I've met Josh in October through a mutual friend of ours, and been working with him county-wise, but our county infrastructure wouldn't allow us to just go out here and find 100 acres in the county. It's kind of the problem we're running in right now. However, Cumberland City, just for those of you that don't know, they have passed on first reading to rescind an ordinance that would not allow a processing plant in Cumberland City.
Food processing facilities, so they're including all foods, not just beef.
All foods, not just beef, correct. But so, of course, bringing this type of job into the county, I'm going to support. I hope that it works out for the betterment of Houston and Stewart County and our citizens. Just like the Congressman said, Joey and I are just put here to bring us in, bring us into the future for sure. Houston County's probably already in the future. We're not. We have to go find these $60,000 a year jobs. However, Cumberland City's different. They're sitting there with TVA. That's going away. And if the citizens of Cumberland City doesn't want this, it will not be there. So if you're a citizen in Cumberland City and you are interested in this, call your officials. If you are not interested in this, call your officials. Let them know, because exactly what the congressman said, you are our bosses and we're here to work for you. I said that to let you know that Alderman Eric Milliken is here. Did you have any questions or anything to take back to Cumberland City with you?
I
or
did,
are
and
you
I
getting-
got about a 2 or 3 part, and maybe for Mr. Green and for Ms. Bradley. So, let me start with the water. So, obviously, you know, Cumberland City is a little different with their water structure. I am an alderman here at Milliken. I'm an alderman at Cumberland City. I did not vote for that ordinance, first off. And the reason I didn't, because nobody's educated on what's even, not me, not any constituent in Cumberland City, not anybody. This has just come up per se, word of mouth, and this ordinance got slung out there. I want to say that. I think everybody should have just like you said, Mr. Green, I work for the constituents that's under my jurisdiction, right? So that's the way I believe, and it'll never be a personal agenda for me. I'll always want to make sure I'm educated on those decisions, and I think every constituent in Cumberland City should be as well too. So with that being said, there's 2 parts to this, because this is what I'm hearing through the community. 2 parts being, our water system is a little different in Cumberland City. One being that we receive water from Houston County, but we can also receive water from Stewart County. Can't feed it all the way through, but for the most part, we've got a little bit of a work there. So a company, obviously, if your company comes in or if another company comes in, there's not enough water supply between Houston County and or Stewart County to be able to supply that. So obviously, you know, this is an industrial park where there's a lot of capability and people maybe want to come. We got to figure out how to get attached to that revenue somehow or another. So with that being said, it sounds like, from what I'm listening to now, there's grants and opportunities for not to benefit Stewart County and benefit Houston County and Cumberland City on a water treatment and a, you know, sewer type treatment scenario, which is huge when you're talking about some of Houston counties and Cumberland cities and Stewart counties, when you're talking over 40-year-old infrastructure on water. So I really think that's a big deal for you or for any industry, or to even develop our industry in Stewart County and Houston County. I think that's a huge deal. The next thing is, you know, and I hope that's being looked at and being represented, and that's something that people need to talk about, because that's an issue for all of us. And then the other thing is being highly educated on what decisions are made, and before even given an opportunity to hear those decisions is not what I'm representing here. I'm representing to make sure there's an educated decision on how this moves forward. And that's for Cumberland City and for everybody. I know they've got a meeting coming up in next week, it's 19th or whatever it is, but I can't remember exactly. 17th. But you know, I welcome everybody. Houston County as well too. I think everybody should come and listen to the whole.
Well, they're gonna get the same thing that they got today. This group right here, we're gonna give, this guy's a little different, and we're gonna open up the floor to the public. That sometimes can be doomsday for us, right? But the public are the ones who's driving force. They're the ones who wants educated. They're the ones who supposedly drive the mayor down there crazy. So if we can address those issues and drive that home, that this is who we are, we're not a nuisance, and we appease these people, we show them and illustrate that we're coming for the better good of those people, that's all we can do. And after that, I mean, everybody needs to show up. I hope this is the biggest thing that ever happened in Stewart County, and I hope every time we have something that's beneficial in Stewart-Houston County, every time we have something that's beneficial to the community and it gets somewhat shut down, that you guys show up. And I can only imagine Congressman Green is in the same aspect, because those are the people that's going to vote for you. Those are the people
who you have to listen to. I want everybody there. Uneducated thought processes is what sometimes ruins a good thing for everybody. And I'm wholehearted. I'm gonna fight with you guys and fight as hard as you guys, just like this water area. I'm gonna fight right there along with you. We have resources readily available, use them. Jump on there. We're gonna push. And again, just like Congressman said, if we don't land there, you still have a problem. You still gotta address it, and it still needs to go through. We're here to help with that. Again, I am your neighbor. I grew up in this county. And I don't wanna abandon you, or Madison, or anybody sitting back there that thinks the same way. So we're here to help, whether we can't be here and part of that or not.
Sounds like no matter how the meetings go, that Mark and them, we need to look at the water no matter.
Yeah, I think that's it. And one of the questions, and I'm no water sewer engineer, but I would suspect, based on what I know, this is more a distribution problem than it is a water availability. I mean, you got water in the ground, right, that you can get to. You got a river.
Well, we've got the Cumberland River, the water's there.
The water's there. It's an issue of distribution.
Just getting it
Okay.
available.
All right.
Having a source to come. Like I said, if you were sitting there today,
Right.
we couldn't furnish the water for you. I mean, you just have an empty building.
How long do you think it'll take from, if the shipboard were to say, yeah, you're moving forward, how long do you think it'd take for you to break ground and then get things going and be at a point where you're open to the process?
This is an 18-month overall deal. So, that being said, we have decided to progress in lieu of waiting on this grant. The grant was supposed to drop a long time ago, and I'm coming to find, guys, that I think the good Lord above has intervened in this in so many different ways for all for the right passage. The grant was supposed to drop, we anticipated back in March. Then it's just been an anticipation all the way through, and this grant's still not left. So,
Which grant are we
the
talking
federal
about?
USDA grant.
Okay.
Congressman, with the grant that Josh is referring to, which is on that brief in front of you, is called the Meat and Poultry Processing Expansion Program, or MPP for short. So as Josh just shared, the first round of the grant came out last year, 2 years ago. And we've been waiting on the next round to come out for quite some time. And it seems like USDA has perhaps gotten a little backlogged with this.
Well, we can energize that.
If that's something your office could.
Yeah, but that grant doesn't buy the water or fix the water issue.
No,
It's,
sir.
yeah, okay.
No, sir.
That would be more for the facility infrastructure itself, whether that's on the construction side or the equipment side once it's already built. So it has some flexibility in how those funds are used, but definitely been waiting on that as quite a priority for us. So any information your office could provide would be important for the True Local Beef team and our efforts as well.
Yeah, we'll have a letter to the USDA today. Now, on the water side, we got to identify those grants that are out there. My team will work with you guys to see if we can't find something. Because obviously you can't go in if you don't have water. But I know at the same time, to be completely honest, if you go to a site that hasn't been approved, certified, that process is doggone near a year.
It's a year.
And so, which, if it comes down to it and folks don't want it there, we'll assist with that too. Because I'll go push the state to expedite that process. Hopefully there's a pathway, and if there's not, it sounds like something that needs to be addressed by either state lawmakers or the governor. We don't need to lose business opportunities because we're taking a year to approve a daggone site certification. That's unacceptable.
I think once educated, once these people know what we bring to the table. I sat in that meeting the other day and watched the vote, and Mr. Milliken said, "Hey, what am I voting on? Please tell me, what am I voting on?" I said this 3 times. And I'm glad Ms. Tina recorded that meeting, because at the end of the day, it's not for the benefit of me. It's for the benefit of the citizens who ask of our elected officials to do one thing, and that's protect their interest. And Mr. Milliken asked several times, what are we voting on? And I had a young man who I understand is new to the board asked the same question, and I don't think he knew what he was actually voting for. And us being who we are, hey, give us an opportunity to be heard, because this is the first thing. We just got through our economic development presentation. We have our green lights through those guys, right? And the next steps, you know what next steps are. Next steps is to present to the counties. So we were supposed to come in and present to the counties, and I'd ask, please hold off on your vote. Hear us out, because we've not been heard yet. Let's go. So I believe we're not going to have those hurdles. The hurdles and now the fight. We'll know this for sure September 7th. As far as we still got to get through the ship board too. But I believe that once people are educated and they see that we're truthful, meaningful about a betterment for the community, I don't think we're going to have an issue. I think the issue is we attack and help these guys get some water and alleviate those problems at the utmost.
We are 10:58, so I thank everybody for coming. The industrial board members, y'all will have plenty of time to ask all the questions you would like. Thank you for Commissioner Fields for coming and representing. The Sheriff's Office, thanks Chief, appreciate y'all stopping by. Everybody that come to be informed, thank you for showing up. Again, if you're for it, let your folks know who represents you. If you're against it, let them know. That's the only way we can to make the best decision down in Cumberland City. And thank you for the idea, Congressman. Thank you.
Yeah,
Appreciate you being here.
Well,
And
whatever the folks want.
thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Thank everyone.